Well, watching events closely for us is our former Moscow correspondent, Nick Holdsworth. He's with me now. Nick, can I just ask you, first of all, where you think the key players are this Monday? And by the key players, I mean the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, Yevgeny Prigozhin, who we saw in that report, and Shoigu, who we have seen, but we don't actually know when the footage was filmed.
That's the key question. We haven't seen Vladimir Putin since Saturday morning when he made that live televised address to the nation during the midst of the crisis of the armed mutiny against the Russian government. There are reports on Russian social media that Putin has spoken a couple of times Saturday and Sunday with Lukashenko, but we've not actually seen Putin. Shoigu has appeared in that video footage which has been shown on Russian television, but there's no indication of when it was shot or where. Again, there are unconfirmed reports that that is earlier footage being shown to the Russian population. As for Prigozhin, he's supposed to have gone to Minsk, but we've not heard anything from him either. The only thing we've heard today is a statement by the Russian Prime Minister, Mikhail Mishustin, who said that Russia had faced a challenge to its stability, and he pleaded with the nation to gather around the flag. We need to act together as one team and maintain the unity of all forces rallying around the president, he said.
And let's talk a bit about Prigozhin specifically, because apparently there was this deal that means that he's to go to Belarus. Again, it's not actually being confirmed whether he's to go. And there are now conflicting reports about whether or not that criminal investigation into what happened over the weekend against him is going ahead or not.
Well, exactly. He was apparently given this guarantee from Putin via Lukashenko that no prosecution will be brought against him for the armed rebellion. We're hearing today on Russian state media that the General Prosecutor's Office in Moscow says that that investigation is ongoing and it has not been dropped, as was stated by the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov late on Saturday evening.
And can I just ask you briefly, Nick, to look a little into the future, if you can, and what you think is now likely to happen inside of the Kremlin, and how, of course, that will affect the front line in Ukraine?
This has certainly exposed weaknesses in those in the inner circle of the Kremlin. It's quite obvious that there are now conflicting groups vying for power around Putin, looking forward to a post-Putin Russia. It's very curious that we've not seen any of the main players since Saturday. It's almost certain that there's going to be more fractures to come within the Kremlin. As to how it affects the front, that's really hard to say. But at the moment, there doesn't appear to be any of Wagner's troops actually on the front lines, and this was one of the most effective units in the Russian military array. And we're hearing, again, via Russian social media sources, that some of those in the regular Russian army are very unhappy about what's happened. They're not paid as well as the Wagner troops were. And certainly this could contribute to a demoralization of those units fighting in Ukraine, although we've not seen much evidence of that so far from the reports we're getting of the Ukrainians about how that offensive is going.
All right, Nick Holdsworth, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts this Monday.